to the Wealthy Retailer Podcast. My name's Dan Holman. I'm your host today. I've got my man, Rob Lawlisher from Road 55, helping us out with some of this week's fabulous headlines. Rob, how you doing this morning?
I'm very good. Thanks, Dan. Hump day, middle of the week.
Yeah.
Talking headlines, talking all kinds of stuff. And
lots of good stuff.
Get all these businesses, back on the rails and, towards future success. So
Small Business Week, gotta love it. Let's support these businesses.
Yeah, totally. It definitely, just the other night, the Chamber of Commerce had their awards, and I guess it's good that we have this reminder yearly for everyone to think local. But if there's a year it really meant everything, it's definitely this year.
Yeah, for sure, no question. We've got to realign our focus, I think. And I think we're going to talk to some of that, in some of today's articles that we do need to realign. And
yep, totally.
Yeah.
And on that, so I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to hit today. Retailers preparing for not just the holiday season, but that extended holiday season. And it's really taking a little bit different look this year. Deloitte just released a holiday 2020 outlook. Seems a little different from some other stories that we've been watching, so I look forward to chatting about that. Unfortunately, the big news of Le Chateau closing, and talk a bit about is this right sizing in the market and what kind of opportunities does that represent? And we had so much fun talking about it last week. The Black Friday sales ideas that you're quick to point out that these could be used in other places too, but I pinned you down to share a couple, three more, so we're going to chat about those. And last but not least, story talking about 5 holiday predictions as it relates to, so much of what we're chatting on today, just that looking ahead in the holiday season. So, our first story, it comes from entrepreneur.com, always a great resource of really good material that relates to that independent retailer. It's a story about, the shopping season being obviously like no other. Zeroes in, talks about the omni-channel consumer buying behavior that definitely continues to transform. It's not going to be what it was before. And as consumers continue to adopt to new ways to buy. What are your thoughts here, Dan?
Yeah, listen, Rob, yes, the retailer needs to prepare for an extended shopping period. I believe that that's what we're in today, or we're on the cusp of that today. I disagree with some of the, better omni-channel experience. I'm not going to buy into the fact that that the consumer is only going to shop online. I agree that a portion of that is in fact going to happen. So, the real question that came out of the article for me was, should retailers be prepared for an extended shopping period? And I'm going to say 100% yes. What we're going to see is that in the US and the neighboring countries, whether it's, Canada or Mexico, we're very much used to a long weekend shopping event that this year, I think, turns to 2, maybe 4 weeks of shopping, which puts us, perhaps on the cusp of that kickoff today. Consumers have more time to decide on how they're going to make purchases. And so this extended shopping period, not buying period, shopping period means that we've got to be a little bit more prepared. They're doing more research. And let's just go back and recognize what we mean when we say shopping. Shopping is the act of dreaming and exploring. Buying is the act of selecting. Today, here's me sitting in my home office, haven't stepped foot in my real office for some time. And I find myself throughout the day shopping, browsing, and that's what the consumer is doing. And because of the kickoff to holiday being perhaps earlier this year than it has been, they've got more time to shop, more time to do their research, more time for dreaming and exploring where to purchase items. So what we're going to see in store is a better prepared buyer, someone who walks in my door full well knowing what they want to purchase, and it'll be on us to reinforce that decision or adjust or adapt that decision based on what our offerings are. One of the things that we're seeing certainly the consumer shop for today or browse for is better price, better value. And that needs to be top of mind. In our presentation, we're not going to get $10 more for an item that's worth $10 less. We've got to deliver a better value equation for that consumer today. It's just that simple.
Well, and I'd advocate for that too, that think value first before you go to the dollar side, and don't be so quick to discount your dollars versus taking a peek at what can we do to add value on that front.
Yeah, really, really critically important. Add value, not price. Price always is secondary to what I'm receiving. I'm prepared to pay more for better service, a better seat, a better shirt. I'm prepared to pay more.
Yeah. So talking a little bit on the different holiday season, it's not on our list. I'm calling an audible. I'm going to bring in a headline I did grab hold of, but I saw that some of the major retailers in the U.S. were planning to not be open on Thanksgiving Day, which I found kind of interesting. And I was just curious to hear your thoughts as to, do you see this as a change coming that's going to ripple its way through, or is it just a cost-saving measure for them for this particular season? What were your thoughts on that?
I do believe it's cost-saving driven. I believe that it is driven by, hey, I can get away with not being open today.
Yeah. People
are going to spend more time at home. They're not really going to be out shopping. And historically speaking, Black Friday shopping started at midnight on Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
You lined up. You lined up at midnight to get into those stores, or pre-midnight to get into those stores. And I think that we've become, I don't want to say greedy. We've become so focused on capturing a sale that we open at any possible time we can. And just like you're seeing in restaurants, in hotels, in travel, every excuse, not reason, every excuse, the deflection of blame onto something or someone I have no control over, to cut the service I offer, to take amenities away, I'm going to do it. And it's ridiculous. That shouldn't be our first thought. We should have said, hey, it's Thanksgiving Day. Probably not the best day for us to be open. Not, given the COVID-19 bullshit, I don't have to open my store on Thanksgiving. Right. So, you're seeing that. You're seeing reduced retail hours everywhere. You're seeing a reduction of what we give our consumer, not an increase. Go to dinner in a restaurant, look for the pepper shaker. It's gone.
Yep. Can't touch those in here.
You're not allowed.
Okay, on to our next story here. That so it came out on the wire. Deloitte has released their 2020 holiday outlook. And they're predicting that sales are going to be down approximately 18% in 2020. Of course, higher food prices, job losses as major factors in cutting back. We've seen stories, Dan, that talk about a great holiday season coming. Is what do you think when you see a conflicting headline like this?
Well, first thing I'm curious about is who's their polled audience. Where did they go for this audience? How did they determine that holiday spending was going to be less? And what factors are going into that? The reality is that we're spending more money today. And truthfully, I did pull out of this article, a few little blips or bits, maybe as we would call them. Yeah. 1 in 3 plan to cut back on their holiday spending. 1 in 3, 35% plan to cut back on their holiday spending, especially in travel and dining out. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Right, Thanks for the headline.
Yeah.
We're going to cut back on travel spending and perhaps dining out. Well, we're doing the best job we can at scaring the living daylights out of our public. Of course they're going to not travel. Of course they're not going to go out to dinner as much. And so I wonder if some of this article is really anchored on the type of spending.
Right.
Consumers value and will continue to value in-store shopping, the in-store shopping experience, for a number of reasons. The number one being product interaction that cannot happen anywhere else. We're going to see that continued in-store shopping. And though a majority, I think the number was 58% of Canadians feel like retailers have implemented the right precautions during the pandemic, there was still a significant number, 60 some percent, that said, there is a risk of exposure, and that's the reason I'm going to avoid stores. Maybe the real reason is to avoid crowds, long lines, in the store. To get in a store, I'm just not going to go to the hassle, which I'm going to say to you, there is a reaction for you. There is a way for you to combat that feeling. And let's go back to last week's Black Friday tips. How about creating some in-store events that have a level of exclusivity for her, that she can shop at a predetermined time where she feels comfortable and safe. And the retailer that gets out in front of the fear that they have for long lines means they're going to reap the benefits. But Rob, that also means you've got to change your hours. You rolling around 11 to 5 maybe isn't going to cut it for holiday. Yeah. Maybe you've got to be open a little more than that.
And I agree with you. I think that this is more a view of the holiday period versus the allocation of the dollars. So to your point,
right.
1 and 3 travel, dining in that. No, we're definitely not going to do that. But as we've said before, those dollars are being shifted and reallocated. So you take that dollar over there and you add it to the 2 that are still in play. I think that's where it is, crossing our fingers, hope and all that fun stuff put together, that it's going to result in a better uptick for our retail.
You and I both know hope is not a strategy. Yeah. If you expect, I think Deloitte produced these numbers. Last year it was $1,705, per individual, and this year it's $1,400 or $1,370 or something like that. $1,405. Yeah. So you need to make the decision on how you're going to capture that $300. I mean, this is who we are as an entrepreneurial, society. And I speak only about the entrepreneurs in our life. We figure shit out. If there's $300 laying over there in the corner, you're damn sure I'm going to figure out how to get it. Don't 100%. Tell me that it's not available. No. We're going to go figure out how to get that.
Yeah, and the ideas you shared last week, well, so much of what we talk about is in the spirit of don't lay down, don't let whatever happens to you happen to you. Like, get proactive, make a plan, and let the ones that don't be the ones that lose out to the dollar that you're going to go get.
Yeah, and Rob, I think it for me, the reason that I key off on some of these headlines or some of these articles, and love that you bring them forward in this manner, is that I want to discount some of the information that's being thrown out there and say, hey, yeah, maybe to La Chateau, you're right.
Yep.
To Belamos, no, maybe you're not. To Cloud9, no, maybe you're not.
Yeah. Okay, folks, reminder that this podcast is brought to you by Canadian Retail Solutions. Let them help you find your cutting-edge retail solution today. Visit retailbycrs.com for all the latest point-of-sale software, merchandise intelligence, and open-to-buy plans, and more. They are here to help. Well, you just briefly mentioned Le Chateau. Big news. 123 stores in Canada are closing. What were your thoughts on this headline, Dan?
Well, I mean, I think that the headline, they're going to close over a period of time. There's no question. And I think you asked me, is this an example of right sizing, and are there other opportunities? This is a pure, crystal clear example of an inability to shift, adapt, or reinvent the categorical presentation. This is the exact opposite. The reason that they're closing, they cited, the demand, the consumer demand for holiday party and occasion wear, which is the core of their offering. It's diminished and it's forced us into this position. And so I'm saying, hey, they're living the exact opposite of our mantra. They're living with the wrong product in the wrong category at the wrong time. That's the opposite of how we drive our business forward. And the size of their ship made it difficult for them to shift. Right. Does it mean that they're poor operators? Yeah, maybe. Perhaps they're just simply victims of circumstance. Either way, it's just another example of the power and potential that exists inside the independent retail community. Our ability to dip, dive, dodge, and duck a wrench is critically impactful to our performance, to our resiliency, to our sustainability. And Le Chateau is an example of the opposite. We mandate the right product in the right category at the right time. If you're a store today that's selling holiday and occasion wear, get your head out of your ass. That's not where the market is going today. You need to take a shift. You've got to look to opportunity categories that people are demonstrating demand in right now.
Yeah. When so much of their offerings seem to be built around 2 weeks of the year, is that part of what you're saying? Or?
I don't believe that that's the case. I believe that that's what they've cited as the reason.
The big,
I think occasion wear, there are many occasions throughout the year. And certainly for the large majority of their existence, they really fit into that occasion wear. And whether that was guest of, mother of, holiday party, going out on to a ball, to a gala, whatever that was, it's not where they needed to be today.
Okay, I will give you full marks for dropping a Rip Torn dodgeball quote in there, though. That's pretty solid. You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Okay, we had some great ideas last week, Dan, and thanks for sharing those that came out of your Management One meetings. You talked about some Black Friday holiday sales ideas. You said it was an extensive list, so let's hear a couple, three more. What do you got?
Okay, I prefaced last week by saying, we're ignoring the date of Black Friday and that these activities need to start now. I'm going to remind you and everyone else that Black Friday is not a thing in Canada. We've adopted it like a stepchild. We've kind of adopted this reason to promote our goods. This is absolutely not about Black Friday. This is about holiday shopping. Okay. And that holiday period is significantly longer, as we talked about earlier, than that week. So, Mark did a great job. He went out to his community and he said, hey, share with me your Black Friday ideas. I'll assemble all of the ideas, into a list. And if you give, you get. If you give me an idea, you get the list. So yes, you pushed a little bit. So I'm saying, okay, here's holiday ideas, version 2. Here's my 3 favorite for this week. Thank you. Number 1, I sort of categorize them. Thank you. Okay. Send your top highest spending clients from 2020, not before, but from this calendar year, a handwritten thank you note with a gift certificate or a gift card. The recipient can spend it on themselves or someone else with no restrictions, no expiry. It is a gift. It's a heartfelt thank you for the support they've shown your business this year. Now, here is where I apply a little bit of strategy to that heartfelt thank you. The gift certificate amount should have some relation to your and or their average sale. If you're a store that has an average sale of $100, maybe this gift that you give your customer, your client, is $50. And she comes in and spends it any way she wants as a thank you. Now, let's do the math. If they typically spend $100, and you and I are going to be fairly synonymous in this. If you give me a gift certificate for a restaurant, what do you do with it? Do I look at the bill at the end of the night and just apply the gift certificate, or do I splurge? Do I maybe go above and beyond on ordering a bottle of wine? You give me $100 for a restaurant, you can be damn certain it's not going towards the burger and fries. It's going towards the compliments
to treat yourself.
The change, totally. Right. And that's what this is intended to do. Treat herself, reward herself. She needs therapy, and you're the catalyst to start that. And maybe, hey, she still spends $100 and walks out with $150 worth of stuff. It has now diminished the value or the impact, pardon me, not value, the impact of that gift that you gave her. It no longer, yes, and let's not lie to ourselves. There are people that are going to walk in and spend $49.99, and I get that. And it doesn't change the fact that I still have a heartfelt thank you for them supporting me through 2020. Yeah. So this can be a traffic driver. This can be, a driver in revenue. This can be a promotional driver. But really the idea is, hey, get out there, you're running this to your top customers of 2020, the ones that have continued to support you. You're not going to your 7,000 email list and saying, here, everybody gets $50. Yep. Maybe you want to try that.
Do you
Maybe
look
you
at
don't.
that as a percentage? Like if you know that the client, the dollars they spent, give them 5% of that, or back to just keep it simple and do your top list of 50 and give them $50 kind of thing?
Keep it simple. Keep it simple, sweetheart.
Okay.
That's my mom used to say, keep it simple, sweetheart. Dad was keep it simple, stupid.
Okay, because I was going to say, I don't. You sure your mom was talking to you?
Listen, Rob, I truly believe that we can pare down the level of effort that's required to make this work. I'm going to look at the top 20% of my customers and determine what the average sale is. I've got an average sale of 700 and an average sale of 150. Well, they're all going to get the same thing. Yeah. The top of the pile brings up the bottom of the pile or the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes when you overthink it too, you end up creating more friction in how to, for the consumer too, where they do this, do that, get this, get that. Just come on in. Here you go.
Yeah. I can tell you one of the very best promotions I ever ran when I was with Cotswold Interiors was the gift. It was the $100 bills, and we sent people $100 bills. We had them printed, goofy looking guy in the center of the dollar. And we sent people $100 bills, and it was based on their spend that year, what their average spend was and what their total spend was. Some people got $1,000. They got 10 $100 bills that said, hey, this is just a thank you. This is how we're thanking you at this holiday. Use it any way you want. It's just like cash. Probably the best December we ever had.
Nice. Okay. Number 2.
Okay. Number 2 is about bundles. Bundle. Group complementary items together, not add-ons. Remove that word from your vocabulary. Start to think about items that complement someone's purchase. Group complementary items together and offer an incentivized package pricing. Yep. Pull it all together and create a promotional price. Apparel stores can group layered pieces together, add accessories to clothing, i.e. total solutions, outfits. Home and gift stores can group colors, tabletop accessories, candles with bath and body, service dishes or serving dishes with utensils, and bar items, with glasses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Look in your store and say, what are the complementary compulsory items that everybody's got to have? How do I pair, a tank with a sweater? How do I pair a glass with a dish? How do I pair a candle with some aromatherapy or bath and body or some, body soap?
Yep.
There's ways for you to package things together and create opportunities for her. Bundle, package goods together, increase your average sale, give her more value for what she's buying.
What do you think of that digitally? When you think of a lot of commerce platforms offer the items individually, I believe the tech is there to make that bundle package to that one click.
For sure.
What's your thought? Is it worth going down that path, or just try to make it easier to click 3 times?
Listen, I believe you've got to keep it simple and easy for her. If you want to get into the complexity of allowing her to bundle her items, that technology is available today. And so is, other customers purchased this, and this with that item, which in itself creates a bundle or a package. Right. And maybe there is a discount that's driven by the purchase value. But I'm talking about the power of being in store and seeing a bundled item.
Nice.
And this is the price that you get.
I've written a thank you note. I've given $50. I've bundled some stuff. What's the third thing I got to
do? All right, number 3. This is a tried and true strategy or tactic, if you will. This is about creating a wish list for her. Let's not BS ourselves. Women rule the world here, brother. And this wish list is for her. We want it to be done either in store, you're connected directly with her on the things she loves, and you're curating this wish list. You can also do that online. She can shop and add things to her wish list, and that wish list gets to him or them, children, parents, whatever. It is the buyer. And you're taking this offer to package these items together that she loves into a holiday gift box. It's wrapped and delivered to him or them. It's budget. How much is it? $250, $350, $500, whatever the number is. Let's go ahead and build a little wish list that I can send him. He can choose the items, and then I'll package them, wrap them, and deliver them to him. Wish list, wish list, wish list.
Nice.
What things do you want from me? Remember, you're going to go back to your ambassadors. This is not a broad stroke strategy. This is the raving fans, the people that continue to support you over and over and over again. You know them by name. Call them. Talk to her. Offer her this. Hey, why don't we create a little wish list for you this year? I'll send it to him. I'll get it in his hands.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, talk about great customer service with that. Those are three great ones, Dan. And folks, if you missed last week, check the last podcast. There are three other great ones too. And I think too, Dan, you mentioned that if folks did want some more, there's a way to reach out to you.
Yeah, if they send an email to dan@thewealthyretailer.com, I'm happy to share the entire list. I think now there's 28 or 29 ideas from different types of stores. And really, it's just about looking through and saying, hey, can I expand on this and make it mine? I don't want to replicate what somebody else is doing. I want to make it mine.
Totally. Yeah. That, or maybe we got, what about a 7 or 8 part series left here? If we do a few each week, keep going. Okay, we'll close it up here. Our last story talking about looking ahead. It's a story from retaildive.com talking about 5 retail holiday predictions for 2020. A lot of different things. Of course, we've talked about the longer holiday season. E-commerce, without a doubt, is king. A couple points zeroes in on fulfillment and the delivery times and that. What were your thoughts on this story here?
Well, I kind of laughed as I read through this article. I read them, each of these articles, as they were sort of listed. And so I read this article last, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of giggle and chuckle a little bit. Here's a conflicting study to the Deloitte Holiday Outlook. I mean, this says potentially we're looking at a year-over-year flat performance or projection, and the question really is that a measure of success? And I'm going to say to you, well, it depends on how you bought and how you're prepared for the season, on whether or not we believe that that's a success. In today's retail climate, every independent retailer out there has and continues to make this mistake. They measure their performance against LY, last year. My year-over-year performance is irrelevant. It means nothing. And I don't mean to offend, object to, cast aside the retail experts that have no better data than last year to compare to, but I want you to know that too much has changed this year for us to measure against last year. As a retailer, I need to make a plan and measure against my own prediction, not my past performance. This is what I plan to do. These are the actions that I'm taking that will drive this result that I'm looking for. And I measure only against that plan. And, I mean, certainly, as a leader in your business, one of the greatest attributes that you need to have is the ability to predict, to effectively predict an outcome. And we use system to do that. And depending on how you're buying inventory, how you're presenting and selling inventory, you'll achieve that plan or you won't. And so as I kind of read through their top 5, I kind of graded them from the agree to strongly disagree, or strongly agree to strongly disagree. So those predictions, and guys, the link is in the weekly newsletter to this article. So get over to retailbycrs.com. Make sure you're registered for the weekly newsletter. You'll see this story and all the other stories that we talk about, or links to these stories that you can go back and refer to. But let's just talk about those 5 predictions. Number 1 prediction from Retail Dive was that this was going to be a longer holiday season. I strongly agree. We've talked about it for the last maybe 3 weeks or more, that yes, this is a longer holiday season. You must start now. Don't wait until we get closer and closer to December before you take strategic action in your store. Number 2, e-commerce is king. All right. I somewhat disagree with that. E-commerce is not king. Your ability to get in front of her wherever she is king. You need to be very active socially. Your website, your shopping cart, your e-com site still must represent the feeling of shopping in your store. This is still about a synonymous experience, whether digital or in your brick and mortar store. So I somewhat disagree that e-com is king. I certainly recognize that there is some power there, but it ain't king. Number 3, store. Sorry?
Prince or so,
Maybe Prince, yeah. Princess. Certainly isn't the queen. And I can't believe, this is the other thing about some of these studies. I can't believe that they talk about him and kings when we know it is the she makes the buying decisions, not he. She is the queen. Cash is queen. Now, they'll get it. We'll just get it, yeah. So here's their number 3 prediction. Store fulfillment takes center stage, and I somewhat agree with that. We're certainly recognizing today that fulfillment is our challenge, not necessarily sales. Sales will always be a challenge that we as retailers lean on, but certainly the fulfillment of that sale is causing us a little bit of friction. So I certainly agree that we need to get our fulfillment down. We need to better understand what it takes to support the sales that we're doing. Their 4th prediction was that shipping is going to be an issue, and I strongly agree. Shipping is 100% going to be a challenge. And we've talked about, Rob, in the past, the last mile of delivery, and that really is where we're going to see this challenge. I think UPS maybe came out last week or the week before and said, hey, we're going to start charging a surcharge to get your package delivered on time. Isn't that funny?
How's that for a kicker?
I'm going to charge you a little more to deliver your package on time. The whole premise that my business is built on is on-time delivery, but now I'm going to charge you a little more for that. So
it's like the primary charge is the old Blockbuster model with no, those are your late fees. Do you want the on-time fee?
Yeah. So yeah, for sure, shipping is going to be a challenge, and you've got to figure that out in your store and maybe take a step outside that box. Maybe you've got a support mechanism in store that allows you to service your local community, and you rely on, Big Brother, UPS, FedEx, Canada Post, whoever it is, Purolator to deliver out of your community. But maybe there's something you can do inside your community. And then their 5th prediction was, that there will be a consolidation of store visits, and I agree with that. Not strongly agree, not somewhat agree. I agree with that. There is going to be a consolidation of store visits. We're going to spend perhaps less time or more determined time, predetermined time in someone's retail store. And I may spend more in less time than I have in previous years. I may not come back week after week. I may consolidate. I'm going to go to store A today and I'll go over to store B tomorrow, which, if you can really read into that, store A needs to have their proverbial shit together if she's walking in there predetermined to buy, with a consolidation strategy in mind.
Right on. Well, as Dan said, we got the links to those stories in the newsletter. If you haven't yet, head to retailbycrs.com to sign up. In addition to the stories we talked about this week, we also have some extra stories Speaking of stories, LinkedIn stories. It wasn't enough. The 24-hour clock was ticking with Instagram and all that, but
Oh my gosh.
put your business hat on. And what are the opportunities to create that? I look at LinkedIn stories, and I quickly think a great chance for businesses to lift the veil, show a little bit of the behind the scenes of how their business operates, and another way to connect with potential clients. The cannabis hit the $250 million in monthly sales. So a little story there with the stats on that. As we've talked about a lot, unfortunately, a lot of stores are closing, but we've got a link to a story about some new openings. So we'll take the sunshine wherever we can get it. And there's a seminar coming up on November 18th with Management One. So we'll have the link in there that you definitely want to check out. Well, great week there, Dan.
Yeah, awesome job, Rob. As always, great job. Thank you.
Anytime we can put you into the strongly agree and the strongly disagree, I think we've had a good week. It's good to have a little friction in there. So, thanks for joining us, folks, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, next week. Happy retailing.